bedtime snack for bedtime.
It was. Okay. I love you. Are you ready for the story? Cat, why you always gotta sit on my lap for a story?
Cute kitty.
Silly cat. Alright, this one is the Princess Bella-Flor. Once upon a time, there lived a man who had 2 sons. When they grew up, the elder one went to seek his fortune in a far country. For many years, no one heard anything about him. Meanwhile, the younger son stayed at home with his father, who died at last in a good old age, leaving great riches behind him. Well, watch out, kidders. Here, move your butt. Well, for some time, the son who stayed at home spent the father's wealth freely, believing that he alone remained to enjoy it. But one day he was surprised to see a stranger enter the hall, looking about as if the house belonged to him. "Have you forgotten me?" says the man. "Oh, I can't forget a person I have never known," was the rude answer. "Well, I am your brother," replied the stranger, "and I have returned." "Without the money I hope to have made. And what is worse, they tell me in the village that my father has died." "Oh, he died 6 months ago," says the rich brother, "and he left you as your portion the old wooden chest that inhabits the loft. You had better go there and look for it. I have no more time to waste." And then he went his way. So the wanderer turned his steps to the loft, and then he found a wooden chest, so old that it looked as if it were dropping to pieces. "What use is this old thing?" he says to himself. "Oh well, it'll serve for a light to fire at which I can stay warm. So things might be worse after all, huh?" He's like, at least I can use it to make a fire, right? Well, placing the chest on his back, the man, whose name was Jose, set out for the inn, and borrowing an axe, began to chop up the box. But in doing so, he discovered a secret drawer, and in it lay a paper. He opened the paper and was astonished to find that it said that a large debt was owed to his father. Putting the precious writing in his pocket, he hastily asked the landlord where he might find the man whose name was written inside, and he ran out at once in search of him. The debtor proved to be an old miser who lived at the end of the village. He had hoped for many months that the paper he had written had been lost or destroyed, and indeed, when he saw it, was very unwilling to pay that he owed. However, Jose threatened to drag him before the king. When the miser saw that there was no help for it, he counted out the coins one by one. Jose put them in his pocket and went back to the inn, feeling that he was now a rich man. A few weeks after, he was walking through the streets of the nearest town when he met a poor woman crying bitterly. He stopped and asked her what was the matter, and she answered between her sobs that her husband was dying, and to make matters worse, he owed a huge amount of money. "Oh, comfort yourself," says the stranger kindly. "I will not only pay his debt, but if he dies, the cost of his burial also. Now go home and nurse him as well as you can." But sadly the man died, and when all was paid, Jose found that only 3 gold pieces were left. "Ugh, what am I to do now?" he says to himself. "I think I'd better go to the court and enter into the service of the king." At first he was only a servant, but he did his duties so well that in a short time he rose to be a gentleman of the bedchamber. Now, when this happened, the younger brother had spent all the money his father had left him, and didn't know how to make any for himself. He then went whining to the palace to beg that his brother Jose, whom he had ill-used, would look after him, and find him a place. Jose, who was always ready to help everybody, spoke to the king for him, and the next day the young man took up his work at court. Unfortunately, the young brother was by nature spiteful and envious, and could not bear anyone to have better luck than himself. Well, spying through the keyholes and listening at doors, he learned that the king had fallen in love with the Princess Bella-Flor. She would have nothing to do with him, though, and had hidden herself in the mountain castle, and nobody knew where it was. Oh, that'll do nicely, thought the scoundrel, rubbing his hands. So he at once went to the Lord High Chamberlain and asked audience of the king, saying that he had some news of the highest importance. The king admitted him to the presence chamber without any delay and asked him what he had to say. "Oh, sire, it's the Princess Bella-Flor," answered the man, and then stopped as if afraid. "Well, what of the princess?" says the king impatiently. "Oh, I have heard that your majesty desires to know where she lies in hiding." "Oh, I'll give you half of my kingdom to the man who will bring her to me," says the king eagerly. "Speak on. Has the bird of the air revealed the secret of you?" "Oh, it's my brother who knows," replied the traitor. "If your majesty would just ask him." But before the words went out of his mouth, the king had struck a blow with his scepter on the gold plate that hung on the wall. "Order Jose to appear instantly before me," shouted the servant. Oh, he shouted to the servant, who ran to obey orders. When Jose entered the hall, the king was nearly dumb from rage and excitement. "Bring me the Princess Bella-Flor this moment," stammered him. "For if you return without her, here I will have you drowned." And without another word, he left the hall, leaving Jose staring with surprise and horror. "How can I find the princess? For I have never seen her," thought he, "but it is no use staying here, for I shall only be put to death." Then he walked slowly to the stables and chose himself a horse. There were rows upon rows upon rows of the finest beasts with the names written in gold on their stalls. Jose looked uncertainly from one to another, wondering which one he would choose, when an old white horse turned its head and signed for him to approach. "Take me," it said in a gentle whisper, "and all will go well." Jose felt really bewildered with the mission that the king had given him, that he had forgot to be astonished at hearing a horse talk. He laid his hand on the bridle and led the white horse out of the stable. He was about to mount his back, and the animal spoke again. "Pick up those 3 loaves of bread, which you see there, and put them in your pockets." Jose did what he was told, and, being in a great hurry to get away, asked no questions, but instead swung himself into the saddle. They rode far without meeting any adventures, but at length they came to an ant-hill, and the horse stopped. "Crumble those 3 loaves for the ants. Do not lose a chance of helping others." And when the loaves lay in crumbs on the road, the horse galloped on. And by they entered a rocky pass between the 2 mountains, and here they saw an eagle which had been caught in a hunter's nest. "Get down and cut the nets, and set that poor bird free," said the horse. "Do not let a chance of helping others go. Do not lose a chance of helping others." And then when the meshes were cut and the eagle was free, the horse galloped on. They had ridden many miles when at last they came to a river, where they beheld a little fish lying gasping on the sand, and the horse said, "Do you see the little fish? It'll die if you don't put it back in the water. We never waste time when we are helping others." And soon the little fish was swimming happily away. A little while after they reached a castle which was built in the middle of a very thick wood, and right in front of was the Princess Bella-Flor feeding her hens. "Now listen," said the horse. "I am going to give all sorts of little hops and skips, which will amuse the Princess Bella-Flor. And when she will tell you that she would like a ride a little ways, you must help her mount. When she is seated, you must say that you had better get up behind as to help ride me. Once on the back, we will go like the wind to the king's palace." Jose did exactly like the horse told him, and everything happened as the animal said it would. It was not until they were galloping breathlessly towards the palace that the princess knew that she was taken captive. She said nothing, however, but quietly opened her apron, which contained the bran for the chickens, and in a moment it lay scattered on the ground. Oh, I have let fall my brand. Please get down and pick it up for me. But Jose only answered, We shall find plenty of bran where we are going. And the horse just galloped on. They were now passing through a forest, and the princess took out her handkerchief and threw it upwards, so that it stuck into one of the topmost branches of a tree. Dear me, I have let my handkerchief blow away, says she. Will you climb up and get it for me? But Jose just answered, We shall find plenty of handkerchiefs where we are going, and the horse just galloped on. After the wood, they reached a river, and the princess slipped a ring off her finger and let it roll into the water. Oh, dear, dear, how careless of me, gasped she, beginning to sob. I have lost my favorite ring. Oh, do stop for a moment and look for it. Oh, Jose answered, though, Well, you'll find plenty of rings where you're going. And the horse just galloped on. At last they entered the palace gates, and the king's heart pounded with joy at beholding his beloved Princess Bella-Flor. But the princess brushed him aside as if he had been a fly, and locked herself in the nearest room, which she would not open for all of his pleading. Bring me the 3 things I lost on the way, and perhaps I may think about it, was all that she would say. And in desperation the king was driven to ask Jose for help. There is no remedy that I can see, says his majesty, but you, who know where they are, should go and bring them back. And if you return without them, I will surely have you drowned. Oh, poor Jose was much troubled at these words. However, he bowed low and went out to speak with his friend the horse. Oh, don't vex yourself, says the horse, when he heard the story.
What is its name?
The horse's name is Horse.
It is?
Horsey McHorseface from Horsetown.
I don't know its name.
I don't know. I don't think it said its name. Well, it says, Do not vex yourself, says the talking horse. Maybe it's Mr. Ed.
Why?
Because Mr. Ed was a talking horse that was on TV when I was a kid.
It probably is.
Maybe. Well, we'll go and look for these
But
things, says the horse.
But it's a white horse.
Yeah, still could have been Mr. Ed. Maybe Mr. Ed's dad. It's an old story.
Mr. Ed's dad?
Maybe. Well,
Isn't he white?
I don't know.
You never seen him?
Not Mr. Ed's dad. He might have been. Well, I don't know. Well, a horse is a horse, of course. Unless, of course, the horse, is the fabulous Mr. Ed. Anyway, let's get back to the story. Jose mounted at once, and they rode on until they came to the anthill. And then the horse asked, Would you like to have a bran? Call the ants and tell them to fetch it for you. Jose listened in surprise, and he could not think of a better plan, so he called to the ants and asked them to collect the bran as fast as they could. And he sat under a tree and waited. Look there, says the horse, suddenly raising his head, and Jose looked behind him and saw a little mountain of bran, which he put into his bag. Good deeds bear fruit sooner or later, observed the horse, but mount again, we have far to go. Then they arrived at the tree and saw the handkerchief fluttering like a flag at the topmost branch. Jose's spirits sank again. Ugh, how am I to get that handkerchief? Cried he. The horse answered, Call to the eagle you set free from the net. He'll bring it to you. So Jose called to the eagle, and the eagle flew to the top of the tree and brought back the handkerchief in its beak. Jose thanked him and mounted the horse, and they rode on to the river. A great deal of rain had fallen in the night, and the river, instead of being clear as it was before, was dark and troubled. Oh dear, how am I to fetch the ring from the bottom of the river when I can't even see anything? Says Jose. But the horse answered, Call that little fish whose life you saved, remember? Yeah, she'll bring it for you. So he called to the fish, and the fish dived down to the bottom and slipped behind big stones and moved little ones with its tail and went searching everywhere until it finally found the ring, and then it brought it up to Jose in its mouth. Well pleased with what he's done, Jose returned to the palace. But when the king took the precious objects to Bella-Flor, she declared that she would never open the door until the bandit Jose, who had carried her off, had been fried in oil. "Oh, I'm very sorry," says the king to Jose. "You see, I have no choice." And then when the oil was being heated in the great cauldron, Jose went to the stables to ask his friend if there was any way to escape. "Oh, don't be frightened," says the horse. "Get on my back and I'll gallop till the whole body is wet with sweat, and then rub it all over your skin, and no matter how hot the oil may get, you probably will never feel it." Well, Jose didn't ask any more questions, but did what the horse told him. The men wondered at his cheerful face as they lowered him into the cauldron of boiling oil. He was left there till Bella-Flor cried that he must be cooked enough. Then out came the youth, so young and handsome that everybody fell in love with him, and Bella-Flor most of all. As for the old king, he saw that he had lost the game. In despair, he flung himself into the cauldron and was fried instead of Jose. Then Jose was proclaimed king, on condition that he married Bella-Flor, which he promised to do the next day. But first he went to the horse and said, "It is you that I owe my life and my crown. Why have you done all this for me?" And the horse answered, "I am the soul of that unhappy man for whom you spent all of your fortune. When I saw that you were in danger of death, I begged that I might help you, and you had helped me, for I was told you good deeds bear their own fruit. For as I told you, good deeds bear their own fruit." Oh, so that was the dead old guy that he helped. He gave that lady all of his fortune to help the guy that was sick, and he died anyway. He paid for his funeral and all that. Yeah. He came back as a horse and helped him out. Yeah. That was really nice of him, huh?
Yeah, so what is that horse's name?
I didn't say. Just horsey.
It's probably Mr. Ed's dad, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. But it's late. Time for bed. Love
If
you.
it's a talking horse, it probably is.
Maybe. Love you.
But it's
Good
just a fairy
night.
tale. It's supposed to
Well,
talk.
good night anyway, Boogity Boo.
I want one more story.
No, good night.